Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at how big companies are working with startups to drive innovation and growth,
Yeah.
and we'll be using excerpts from Jim Stengel's book Unleashing the Innovators to guide our conversation.
It's a pretty relevant topic, you know?
Yeah.
It gets at the heart of how businesses need to change to keep up in a world that's constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be exploring the motivations for both sides, the strategies they use,
Right.
and of course we'll look at those successes, failures along the way.
All right. So I'm already intrigued by this idea Stengel brings up in the book
Okay.
about established companies losing that initial spark that they had when they were, just
Yeah.
scrappy little startups. Why does that happen?
Well, I think it's like this. As many large companies, they grow, they kind of shift their focus
Yeah.
from disrupting the market with those bold new ideas to instead trying to just maintain their market share.
Hmm.
And this often makes them really hesitant to take risks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And their decision-making process can also become
Right.
bogged down,
Yeah.
really slow and bureaucratic.
Stengel makes a great analogy in the book.
Yeah.
He compares large companies to those friends we all have who kind of,
Yeah.
wish they were young and carefree again,
Right.
maybe a little bit stuck in their ways.
It is a natural progression, but it doesn't have to be the end of the road.
Right.
And that's really where partnering with startups comes in.
So it's like a breath of fresh air for these companies.
Exactly. Startups bring this, fresh perspective,
Yeah.
that willingness to experiment,
Mhm.
and this like nimbleness that can be so valuable to a larger company.
So Stengel really digs into like what motivates both sides
Okay.
to enter these partnerships. And it seems like on the established company side,
Mm-hmm.
they're looking to tap into new technologies
Yeah.
that can give them a competitive edge
Right.
and maybe even solutions to really specific problems that they're facing.
That's right. They may be looking for a specific solution to a problem.
Or a way to speed up their time to market.
Yeah.
And some companies even see these partnerships as a way to inject a more entrepreneurial spirit into their, company culture.
And what about from the startup's perspective?
Well,
What are they hoping to gain?
they're often looking for access to resources and funding,
Right.
which can be hard to come by, on their own.
Yeah.
And partnering with a larger company can also give them access to these new markets and customers,
Mm-hmm.
which is really crucial for growth.
Stengel makes an interesting point about company culture.
Okay.
He says that even if a company doesn't set out to specifically change their culture,
Right.
that it can happen sort of organically through their interactions
Yeah.
with these fast-paced startups.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just a transaction.
Yeah.
It's a relationship that can have this ripple effect on both sides.
So let's talk about some real-world examples
Okay.
of these partnerships, both the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Stengel mentions the partnership between GE and Quirky.
As one that seemed promising at first but ultimately failed,
Yeah.
what can we learn from that?
Well, it's kind of a classic case.
Okay.
You have two companies with really great ideas, but they try to do too much too fast.
Okay.
They rushed a ton of new smart home products to market,
Right.
but they did it without, the proper testing and customer support.
So a lot of those products ended up having technical problems.
Yes, consumers were really frustrated
Yeah,
when the devices didn't work as expected.
of course.
And ultimately, the partnership dissolved, and unfortunately, Quirky ended up going bankrupt.
What a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
What are some of the key takeaways from this failure?
Well, I think it really underscores the importance of careful planning.
Hmm.
Both sides need to have this, clear understanding
Yeah.
of each other's cultures, their working styles, and also, their expectations going in.
So it's not just about having a great product or great technology.
Right.
It's about making sure the two companies are actually compatible and can work together.
Exactly. That includes having really aligned goals, a clear division of responsibilities, and a solid plan for managing communication and addressing those potential conflicts.
Almost like a marriage. You need to make sure you're compatible
Yeah.
and have a shared vision for the future before jumping in.
That's a great analogy. And just like marriage communication and trust are super crucial.
So, are there any examples of companies that manage to navigate these challenges and
Yeah.
actually create a successful partnership?
Absolutely. One example that Stengel highlights is the partnership between GE and Airware,
Okay.
a company specializing in drone technology.
That seems like a natural fit.
Yeah.
Drones are becoming increasingly important for
Yeah.
all sorts of applications.
Exactly. And GE saw the potential to use Airware's technology for tasks like monitoring power lines,
Okay.
inspecting wind turbines,
Mhm.
even surveying disaster areas.
Wow.
So it's a really strategic move that allowed them to leverage this cutting-edge technology
Mhm.
to improve their existing services and even expand into new markets.
So win-win.
Totally.
Nah.
GE got access to valuable tech.
Right.
Airware gained this powerful partner with the resources and expertise to help them scale.
So this shows that strategic alignment is key.
Yeah.
You're not just looking for any startup with some cool technology.
Right.
You're looking for a partner whose strengths complement your own and whose vision aligns with your strategic goals.
Absolutely.
Now, what about the partnership between IBM and Box?
Oh, yeah, that's another great
I
example.
know Box, they offer those cloud-based
Mm-hmm.
file sharing and collaboration tools.
Right.
What was the strategic rationale for IBM in that case?
Well, IBM was trying to expand its cloud computing offerings,
Okay.
and they saw Box as a key partner in that effort.
Mm-hmm.
Box's platform was already really popular with businesses,
Yeah.
and it allowed IBM to integrate Box's tools into their own cloud services, creating this more comprehensive offering for their clients.
So instead of trying to build everything in-house, they partnered with a company that already had a strong foothold in the market.
Exactly. It allowed them to quickly expand their offerings and tap
Mhm.
into this whole new customer base.
Right.
And for Box, the partnership provided access to IBM's vast resources and global reach.
It seems like these partnerships are a way for companies to achieve growth
Hmm.
and innovation much faster than they could on their own.
That's a key takeaway, for sure.
Yeah.
In today's fast-paced world, companies need to be able to adapt quickly
Right.
to stay competitive.
Yeah.
And these partnerships can be such a powerful tool for achieving that.
So what are some of the key factors
Okay.
that contribute to successful collaborations like these?
Well, one of the most important is support from top leadership.
Okay.
It's crucial to have buy-in from the highest levels of the organization
Right.
to really drive these initiatives forward.
So you need a strong leader
Yeah.
to champion these new ways of working.
Absolutely, especially within large established companies where there might be resistance to change.
Another key factor would be having clear goals and expectations
Oh, yeah.
from the outset.
Definitely, both sides need to be on the same page
Mm.
about what they want to achieve,
Yeah.
how they plan to work together.
Communication is key here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Open communication
Yeah.
and transparency are
Mm.
so vital throughout the entire partnership.
Yeah.
It helps to build trust,
Mm-hmm.
navigate challenges effectively,
Right.
and also ensure everyone is working towards those same goals.
And I imagine there needs to be a willingness to embrace change on both sides.
Absolutely. A large company needs to adapt to the fast-paced startup world,
Mm-hmm.
and the startup needs to be willing to work within the structure and processes of that larger organization.
But let's be realistic. It's not always smooth sailing.
Right.
Right. There are going to be people within a large company that resist these types of partnerships.
Oh, yeah. And Stengel actually dedicates a whole section of the book to this.
Okay.
This idea of overcoming internal resistance to change.
He calls this resistance to change the innovator's dilemma.
It does.
Yeah.
And he argues that this resistance is often rooted in fear.
Okay.
People are afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of losing their jobs. They're afraid of having to learn these new skills.
Yeah. It's understandable. Change can be unsettling,
Yeah.
especially when you've been doing things a certain way for a long time.
And Stengel offers some really good strategies for winning over these skeptics.
Okay.
And breaking down those barriers to change.
So what are some of his suggestions?
Well, one of the most powerful tools is data.
Okay.
Show them the numbers.
So show them the evidence, the
Yeah.
tangible benefits, the potential return on investment.
Exactly. And don't just present the data to senior management.
Uh-huh.
Stengel talks about what he calls democratizing data,
Mm-hmm.
making it accessible to everyone.
So everyone has the tools
Yeah.
and the information
Mhm.
to make those informed decisions and to see the value of these partnerships. One of the most intriguing concepts in the book is the idea of embracing outsiders,
Right?
which Stengel argues could be
Yeah.
startup partners or industry experts, academics, or even competitors.
Absolutely. It's all about being open to new perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
even those from rivals.
So it's not just about partnering with startups. It's
Boy.
about being open to new ideas and challenges
Yeah.
from anyone who can bring a fresh perspective
Exactly.
to your company.
And Stengel gives this really interesting example of how Carl Icahn
Oh, wow.
The investor known for his, aggressive tactics
Right.
actually ended up being a really big advocate
Okay.
for positive change at Motorola.
Wow. So sometimes the biggest catalyst for a change
Yeah,
can come from the most unexpected places.
absolutely. And Stengel argues that leaders really need to be open to these outside perspectives,
Hmm.
even when they come from these unexpected or uncomfortable sources.
So having that humility to recognize
Yeah,
that you don't have all the answers and a willingness to listen to those who might have a different perspective.
absolutely. And that brings us to another important point.
Okay.
Leadership plays a crucial role in all of this,
Right.
fostering a culture of innovation,
Mm.
embracing these partnerships.
So what are some of the qualities that leaders need in this new era
Okay.
to really be successful with corporate rejuvenation?
Well, Stengel emphasizes the importance of humility.
Okay.
Leaders need to be able to acknowledge they don't have all the answers
Mm-hmm.
and be willing to learn from others,
Right.
especially from those who are different from them.
Letting go of the ego,
Yeah,
embracing a more collaborative approach.
exactly. Leaders also need to be willing to experiment.
Okay.
They need to foster a culture where people feel safe taking risks,
Right.
trying new things, and even, failing sometimes.
So it's about creating that growth mindset, not just for themselves,
Mm.
but for their entire team.
That's a great way to put it.
Stengel also highlights this idea of being outward facing.
Oh, yeah.
Leaders need to actively seek out new ideas and new perspectives,
Yeah.
whether it's from startups, industry events, or even their competitors.
Exactly.
So it's about being curious,
Hmm?
staying informed,
Yeah,
never stop learning.
absolutely.
But how do companies actually go about finding the right partners?
Okay.
I mean, it's not like they're just bumping into each other at a coffee shop.
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer,
Mm.
but there are a few common approaches
Okay.
that we're seeing companies use.
Mm-hmm.
Some companies like GE have these dedicated venture capital arms,
Right.
which are basically separate divisions
Yeah.
that invest in and partner with startups.
So they have teams of people
Yeah.
whose job it is to scout out those promising startups.
Exactly. They're constantly on the lookout
Right.
for companies that are developing these cutting-edge technologies
Mm-hmm.
or solutions that could potentially benefit GE.
And then you have companies like Wells Fargo, who created these accelerator programs.
Yes. It's almost like a boot camp for startups,
Yeah.
right?
Where they select a cohort of promising startups each year,
Mm.
and they give them mentorship resources and access to potential customers.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. The
Right.
startups get this huge boost,
Yeah,
and Wells Fargo gets to work closely with some of the most innovative companies out there.
absolutely. And then you have companies like IBM
Okay.
that have created these massive ecosystems
Right.
around their core technologies,
Mm-hmm.
like Watson,
Okay.
their artificial intelligence platform.
So they're inviting partners and developers and researchers to collaborate and build upon their technology.
Exactly. It's a way to tap into the collective intelligence
Mm-hmm.
of this much broader group of people.
And foster a culture of open innovation.
That's a great way to put it.
So it seems like there's this growing recognition that innovation can come from anywhere, not just within the company's walls.
That's a key takeaway, for sure.
Yeah.
Companies are realizing that they can't afford to be so insular.
Right.
They need to be open
Mm-hmm.
to collaborating with external partners to get new ideas
Right.
and to speed up their innovation efforts.
So it's not just about the technology or the deal itself. It's
Right.
about creating the right environment
Yeah.
for collaboration to really flourish.
That's right.
And one company that Stengel highlights for its expertise
Okay.
in this area
Mm-hmm.
is Motorola Solutions.
Oh, yeah.
They've been doing this for over 2 decades,
Yeah.
partnering with startups,
Mhm.
and they've developed a really sophisticated and integrated approach.
They have?
How does their approach differ
Pretty
from the
different.
other examples that we've talked about?
One interesting aspect is that their venture capital arm is actually part of the CTO's organization.
Okay.
So it's really integrated with
Ah.
their tech roadmap
Yeah.
and strategic vision.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want your venture capital arm investing in startups that are completely disconnected. Exactly.
And what the company's doing.
Yeah, they also have this really interesting concept
Okay.
that they call hunting grounds.
What's that?
They identify these specific areas or themes
All right.
where they want to explore new approaches
Mm.
and partner with startups.
So it's like they're going on these strategic innovation safaris,
I love that analogy.
targeting specific areas
Yeah.
where they see opportunities for
Mm.
growth and disruption.
And what's really smart is that they involve people from all across the organization
Okay.
in this process.
So it's not just top down.
Right.
They're getting input from the people who are actually going to be working
Yeah,
with these startups.
exactly.
What are some of the things that Motorola Solutions looks for
Okay.
in a potential partner?
Well, their initial focus isn't necessarily on financial metrics.
Okay.
It's more about finding that strategic alignment.
Okay.
Can the startup's technology or solution truly address our needs?
Right. Can it help us achieve our strategic goals?
So they're being very deliberate and
Yeah.
strategic in their selection process.
Their goals go beyond just acquiring the technology.
Okay.
They want partners who can help them
Mm-hmm.
enhance their public safety solutions, develop this really robust mobile app ecosystem,
Oh.
and, achieve their ultimate vision
Mm-hmm.
of creating a safer and more connected world.
So they're looking for partners who can help them make a real difference.
Exactly. And they
Okay.
take a very hands-on approach.
Okay.
They provide a lot of guidance and support
Mm-hmm.
to those startup partners.
Okay.
They even assign dedicated liaisons
Right.
to help navigate that relationship and to make sure that both sides
Yeah.
are getting what they need.
So they really seem to have mastered this art
Yeah.
collaboration,
Yeah.
creating that win-win for both themselves
Right.
and their startup partners.
And their approach really underscores a crucial takeaway
Okay.
for any company looking to embrace the power of partnerships.
What's that?
It's not just about, signing a contract.
Right.
It's about building trust,
Yeah.
fostering open communication,
Mm-hmm.
and being willing to learn and adapt along the way.
Speaking of unexpected partnerships,
Okay.
one that comes to mind is the collaboration between Google and Levi Strauss & Co.
Oh, yeah, that's a great
to
example.
create that smart jacket.
It's a really cool example of what Stengel calls, the collision of worlds.
You wouldn't typically think of a tech giant and a clothing brand
Right.
as these natural partners.
No.
What brought them together?
Well, Google's Advanced Technology and Projects group,
Right.
known as ATAP,
Mm-hmm.
they developed this incredible jacquard technology
Right.
that allows you to weave these touch-sensitive fibers
Okay.
into fabric.
So they were looking for a partner to
Yeah.
help bring this technology to market in a way that felt really natural and integrated into everyday life.
Exactly. They didn't want to just create another gadget.
Right.
They wanted to create something that would blend seamlessly into people's lives.
And Levi's, with its deep understanding of clothing,
Right.
its iconic brand,
Mm-hmm.
and its commitment to quality,
Yeah,
seemed like the perfect partner.
they did. They saw the potential to create a jacket
Mm-hmm.
that was both stylish and functional,
Right.
allowing people to control their smartphones
Mm-hmm.
and other devices
Right.
through the fabric of their clothes.
But I imagine bringing together two companies with such different cultures and working styles
Yeah.
must have been a challenge.
It was. One of the biggest challenges was the difference in pace.
Okay.
Google's ATAC group is known for this rapid prototyping
Mm-hmm.
and iterative development approach.
Right.
They want to get a product out the door fast.
Okay.
And Levi's has this more deliberate and meticulous process
Okay.
focused on quality and durability.
It's like merging a bullet train
Yeah.
with a classic steam engine.
That's a perfect analogy.
And they had to overcome some technical hurdles as well.
They did the initial conductive yarns that Google had developed.
Okay.
They weren't quite up to Levi's standards for durability.
Really?
Yeah, they failed some of their rigorous stress tests,
Okay.
like repeated machine washing and singeing.
Singeing.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
process where they burn off those loose fibers from the fabric.
Wow. I've never even heard of that.
It's intense,
Yeah.
but it's essential to ensure the quality
Right.
and longevity of a garment.
Okay.
And the initial yarns couldn't withstand the heat.
So they had to go back to the drawing board.
They did.
Hmm.
They worked together to refine the yarns,
Mm-hmm.
make them stronger and more resilient.
Okay.
Google's ATAP group was pretty comfortable with this iterative process,
Yeah.
with their fail fast mentality.
Right.
But it was a bit of a culture shock for Levi's,
Okay.
who's more accustomed to getting things right on the first try.
So it must have taken a lot of patience
Oh, yeah.
and communication to navigate those differences.
It did. But ultimately, it was that willingness to collaborate,
Mhm.
to learn from each other,
Yeah.
and to adapt their approaches
Yeah.
that allowed them to create this truly groundbreaking product.
The Levi's commuter trucker jacket
Yeah.
with the jacquard technology
Mm-hmm.
is a real testament to the power of partnership
It-
and the magic that can happen when two different worlds collide.
right.
This reinforces the point that innovation often comes from those unexpected places.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the best way to disrupt yourself
Right.
is to partner with someone completely different from you.
I agree. And that brings us to another important point, the role of failure
Okay,
in the innovation process.
failure. I thought companies try to avoid that at all costs.
They do.
Right.
But Stengel argues that failure is an inevitable part of innovation.
Okay.
It's how we learn,
Hmm.
how we iterate,
Right.
how we ultimately create those groundbreaking products and services.
So it's not about avoiding failure.
Right.
It's about learning from it.
Exactly. Stengel talks about this idea of productive failure,
Oh.
suggesting that even unsuccessful endeavors
Mm-hmm.
can yield valuable insights
Okay.
and inform those future decisions.
So how can companies create a culture
Yeah.
that embraces failure as a learning opportunity?
Well, Stengel outlines a few key strategies.
Yeah.
One is to encourage experimentation.
Okay.
Create a space where people feel comfortable taking risks,
Right.
trying new things, and not being penalized if it doesn't work out.
You're creating that psychological safety net
Yeah.
so people feel free to innovate without fear of,
Yeah.
reprisal.
And when things do go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you really focus on extracting the lessons learned.
So don't punish failure.
Right.
Encourage analysis.
Exactly.
What happened?
Yeah.
What can we learn from this? How
Yeah.
can we apply these lessons to the future?
Exactly. It's just like Thomas Edison's famous quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
I love that quote.
And GE is a good example.
Okay.
They've really embraced this philosophy. They have a program called FastWorks,
Okay.
which is all about applying lean startup principles
Okay.
to their innovation process.
So rapid prototyping,
Yeah.
customer feedback,
Hmm.
iterative development,
Yeah.
knowing that not every experiment's going to be a smashing success.
And if a project isn't really showing promise
Hmm.
or it's not aligned with customer needs,
Right.
they're not afraid to pull the plug,
Okay.
even if they've invested a lot of time and money.
It takes courage to admit when something's not working.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's often the best thing to do
And move on.
because the faster you fail, the faster you learn.
Right.
And the faster you can get to that next big thing.
It's all about embracing that culture
Yeah.
of continuous learning and experimentation.
Exactly.
Now, Stengel talks a lot about this idea of managing internal resistance to change
Right.
when you're trying to implement these innovative ideas.
Absolutely. That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
Even if you have a brilliant idea and a willing partner, there will be people within the larger organization
Mm-hmm.
who resist those new ways of doing things.
And it's like they're comfortable with how things are.
Yeah,
And they see these initiatives as a threat.
absolutely. Stengel offers some really practical strategies for winning over these skeptics and breaking down those barriers to change.
So what are some of his key recommendations?
Well, again, one of the most effective is data and analytics.
Okay.
Show them the evidence,
Yeah.
the tangible benefits of embracing this new approach.
Right. So you're showing them the numbers,
Yes.
the ROI,
Mhm.
the impact on customer satisfaction.
Exactly. Hard data is often the most persuasive way
Right.
to win over those who are resistant.
Stengel also talks about the importance of
Yeah.
not just presenting the data to senior management, but
Mhm.
empowering employees at all levels to
Yeah.
access and analyze data.
Right.
So it becomes a core part of the decision-making process.
Absolutely. He talks about democratizing data, making it accessible to everyone
Yeah.
in the organization.
So it creates a culture of
Yeah.
data-driven decision-making.
Exactly.
Stengel tells this fascinating story about Zach Hicks,
Okay.
the CIO of Toyota Motor North America,
Right.
who faced a lot of internal resistance
Mm.
when he was trying to modernize Toyota's IT infrastructure
Okay.
and embrace a more data-driven approach.
Right. It was a huge undertaking.
And it sounds like he was trying to bring Toyota into the 21st century.
Yeah.
But he met a lot of pushback
Mhm.
from those who were comfortable with the old ways.
Yeah. And this was during a time when Toyota was dealing with a major crisis
Right.
involving those vehicle recalls,
Right.
which made people even more resistant to change.
So it was a tough time to try to implement these changes.
It was.
Right.
But Hicks knew that Toyota needed to embrace this new technology
Mhm.
and these new ways of thinking
Right.
if they wanted to stay competitive.
Right.
So he decided to create a visual demonstration that would be impossible to ignore.
He wanted to show them
Yeah,
rather than just tell them.
right. Seeing is believing.
Exactly. So what did he do?
Well, he and his team pulled all this data
Okay.
from across the company,
Hmm.
sales, manufacturing, customer service,
Right.
and they used that data to create these dashboards
Okay.
and
Mm.
visualizations that showed in a really clear and compelling way
Right.
the challenges Toyota was facing
Yeah.
and the opportunities they were missing.
And he presented this to Toyota's CEO, Jim Lentz.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And it completely changed the conversation.
So it was successful.
It was. Lentz was so impressed. Lentz was so impressed, he actually insisted on showing it to everyone who reported to him.
Wow, that's quite the endorsement.
It was.
Yeah.
That visualization tool became a key driver of change at Toyota.
It helped convince people that they needed to modernize
Yes.
and embrace a more data-driven approach.
Exactly. And to collaborate more
Right.
across the company.
It's incredible how powerful a single well-crafted visualization can be.
It highlights the importance of not just having the data, but presenting it in a way
Mm.
that's really clear and compelling
Right.
and easy for people to understand.
So it's like storytelling with data.
Yeah.
You're using the data to paint a picture, tell a story,
Right.
persuade people,
Yeah,
inspire action.
exactly. And Hicks didn't stop there.
Okay.
He used his success with that tool
Mm-hmm.
to advocate for greater access to data across the company.
So he wanted to democratize the data.
Yes, he wanted to empower employees at all levels to make more informed decisions.
And that eventually led to the creation of Toyota Connected,
It did.
which is a new division
Right.
focused on using data analytics to develop innovative products and services.
Exactly. And not just for Toyota itself,
Okay.
but for consumers and dealers,
Right.
businesses, and even governments.
So it's not just about improving those internal operations.
Yeah.
It's about creating entirely new business opportunities.
Absolutely. They're working on everything from connected car technologies
Wow.
to smart city initiatives.
That's incredible. They're leveraging data to transform how people live, work, and move around the world.
That's a great example of how embracing innovation
Mm-hmm.
and data-driven decision-making
Right.
can lead to these amazing transformations.
It seems like these partnerships are really shaking things up
They are.
in a lot of industries.
Hmm.
And another company that's really making waves
Yeah.
is IBM.
Okay.
Stengel talks
Yeah.
about their work with the Watson AI platform.
Right. Artificial intelligence is everywhere these days.
It is.
So what's IBM's strategy?
Yeah, what is their strategy for using Watson
Okay.
to drive innovation?
Well, they've created this incredibly powerful AI platform that can analyze these huge amounts of data,
Mm-hmm.
understand natural language,
Right?
and generate these really game-changing
It
insights.
sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
I don't know, right?
And they've made Watson available to partners. Yeah.
Through various programs,
They have?
like the IBM Blue Mix Garage.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
What is that?
It's this innovation lab
Okay.
where IBM works with startups and other organizations
Mm-hmm.
to develop new applications for Watson.
Okay.
They provide access to Watson's capabilities,
Right.
expert guidance,
Mm.
and this really cool collaborative environment
Right.
where people can experiment and build new solutions.
So it's like a playground for innovators
Yeah.
who want to explore the potential of AI.
Absolutely. Stengel highlights a great example
Okay.
of a company that has taken advantage of this.
Mm.
Satisfy Labs.
Okay.
They partnered with IBM
Right.
to develop this personalized shopping assistant
Okay.
for Macy's.
That's something I can get behind. Shopping can be so overwhelming,
It can.
especially in a store as big as Macy's.
Right. And Satisfy Labs had already developed
Right.
this location-based mobile app
Mhm.
that allowed shoppers to ask questions and get information.
For brands and businesses.
So they had the platform,
Yeah.
but they needed to make it smarter.
Exactly.
So that's where Watson came in.
It is. By integrating Watson's cognitive computing capabilities
Okay.
into their platform,
Mm-hmm.
Satisfy Labs was able to create Macy's On Call,
Okay.
this in-store shopping assistant that could answer customer questions,
Wow.
provide product recommendations,
Mm-hmm.
and even help shoppers navigate the store.
So it's like having this virtual shopping concierge
Yeah.
right there in your pocket.
Exactly. And it's a great example of how IBM's partnering with startups
Hmm.
to bring the power of Watson to all these different industries and applications.
Are there other examples?
Yeah. Stengel also talks about IBM's work with a company called Connectity,
Okay.
which is using Watson's tone analyzer to develop a dating app.
Now that's an interesting use of AI.
I know, right?
How does that work?
Well, they're using Watson to analyze people's communication styles
Okay.
and identify those patterns in their language. That can reveal insights into their personality and emotional state.
So it's like having a relationship coach
Yeah,
built into your dating app.
exactly. The idea is to help people understand themselves better,
Hmm.
communicate more effectively,
Right.
which can lead to these more meaningful connections.
The potential for AI seems endless.
It does.
It's exciting,
Yeah,
but also a little intimidating.
I agree.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what the future holds.
Yeah, it does.
But Stengel emphasizes that even with all of these incredible technologies,
Mm-hmm.
we still need to be mindful of the human element.
What do you mean by that?
Well, he uses the example of the partnership between Levi Strauss & Co. and Google
Right.
to highlight the challenges
Okay.
of managing these collaborations,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're dealing with companies that have these really different cultures and working styles.
Right. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
The partnership that created the Levi's commuter trucker jacket
Mm-hmm.
with the jacquard technology.
It's a really great example.
And while it was ultimately successful,
Yeah.
it wasn't always easy.
It wasn't.
What were some of the challenges they faced?
Well, one of the biggest was the difference in pace.
Right.
Google's ATAP group is known for its, rapid prototyping
Mm-hmm.
and iterative development.
Right.
They really want to get products out the door fast.
Yeah.
And Levi's has this much more deliberate
Right.
and meticulous process
Mm-hmm.
that really focuses on quality and craftsmanship.
They had to find a way to bridge the gap
Yeah.
between those two approaches.
Right. And they also had to navigate some cultural differences.
Okay.
Google's ATAP group is very comfortable with experimentation
Yeah.
and failure.
Mm-hmm.
They embrace this fail fast, learn fast mentality.
Right.
But Levi's, with its long history and this iconic brand,
Yeah.
they're a little more risk averse.
So they had to create this environment where
Yeah.
both companies felt comfortable taking risks and learning from their mistakes.
Exactly. And it was that willingness to communicate openly,
Right.
to respect each other's perspectives,
Mm.
and to really adapt their approaches
Yeah.
that ultimately allowed them to succeed.
It's a good reminder that even the most unlikely partnerships can
Right.
work when both sides are committed to communication and finding solutions that benefit both parties.
Absolutely.
Stengel also talks a lot about embracing outsiders.
He does.
What does he mean by that?
He's talking about being open to insights and perspectives
Okay.
from anyone who can challenge your assumptions
Yeah.
and make you think differently.
But it's not just about partnering with startups.
No, it's not.
It's about being open to learning from anyone
Yeah,
who can bring a fresh perspective
exactly.
to your company.
And these outsiders can be anyone.
Oh,
Yeah. Startup partners, industry experts,
Right.
academics,
Mhm.
even competitors.
So the key is being willing to step outside your bubble and expose yourself to those new ideas.
Absolutely.
What are some companies that have done this successfully?
Well, Stengel highlights a number of companies,
Okay.
including General Mills.
Okay.
They created a venture arm
Mm-hmm.
called 301 INC
Okay.
that partners with and invests in food startups.
So they're trying to tap into
Yeah.
that external innovation
Exactly.
that's happening outside their walls.
301 INC is all about bringing fresh perspective to General Mills.
Okay.
They're challenging the company's assumptions about the food industry
Right.
and exposing them to new trends and ideas.
And they're not just looking for new products.
Right.
They're trying to foster a more entrepreneurial culture
Yeah.
within General Mills.
Absolutely. They want to be more nimble,
Mm-hmm.
more innovative,
Right.
and more responsive to those changing customer tastes.
So Stengel sees General Mills as an innovative company.
He does.
I mean, they're not really known for being on the cutting edge.
True. But that's what makes their story so compelling. They're proving that even those big established companies in traditional industries can be innovative and adaptable
Right.
when they're willing to change how they think
Mm-hmm.
and to partner with, those who are pushing the boundaries.
It's a great reminder that innovation can come from anywhere.
Absolutely. And it highlights that it's so important to be open to new ideas,
Right.
no matter where they come from. Now, another company Stengel highlights is Evidation Health.
Okay.
And their goal is to really leverage data and technology to improve healthcare outcomes.
Wow. That sounds ambitious.
Yeah.
Tell me more about their approach.
So they're doing some really fascinating work. They're focused on using data from all these different sources, like wearable devices, smartphones, even electronic health records,
Right.
to understand people's health behaviors
Okay.
and then use that information to develop these more personalized and effective healthcare interventions.
So it's like taking that concept of big data and applying it to healthcare.
That's a great way to put it. And they're not working alone.
Okay.
They collaborate with all sorts of partners,
Hmm.
from pharmaceutical companies
Right.
to healthcare providers and insurance companies.
To really collect and analyze this data
Yes,
and to come up with new solutions that can improve people's lives,
exactly.
what are some specific examples of how they're using this?
Well, Stengel talks about their partnership with Ochsner Health System in Louisiana.
Okay.
They're actually using data from wearable devices to help manage chronic conditions
Okay.
like diabetes and hypertension.
And see how that would be really helpful.
Yeah,
I mean, instead of just reacting to problems after they happen,
right.
they can use the data to identify potential issues early on
Mm.
and intervene proactively.
Exactly. By tracking things like activity levels, sleep patterns, and those other health metrics, they can spot those early warning signs and potentially prevent those conditions from becoming more serious.
It's like having a virtual health coach, helping you stay on track.
It is. And it has the potential to not just improve people's health,
Mm-hmm.
but also reduce healthcare costs in the long run.
No, that's a win-win.
It is.
Stengel also talks about the importance of
Yeah.
setting those clear, ambitious goals
Mhm.
for these partnerships.
He does. And he uses Evidation Health as an example.
Okay.
When they were first formed,
Mhm.
they had this very clear vision
Okay.
of what they wanted to achieve. They
Right.
wanted to become a leader in the digital health space.
Yeah.
And they wanted to make a real difference in people's lives.
So they weren't just trying to create some cool technology. They wanted to use that technology to actually solve those real-world problems.
Exactly. And that strong sense of purpose has guided their decisions all along the way.
So that clarity of vision is really important,
It is.
especially in a complex and rapidly evolving industry like healthcare.
Absolutely.
Now, Stengel also talks about the importance of having a strong board of advisors,
Oh, yeah.
especially for startups.
What role does the board play
Right.
in these partnerships?
Well, he tells this great story about how Evidation Health's board played a crucial role
Okay.
in helping them secure their Series B funding,
Right.
which was this major turning point for the company.
So they helped connect them
Yeah,
with the right investors.
they did. They leveraged their network and their expertise
Right.
to get Evidation Health in front of those key people.
And that allowed Evidation Health to scale their operations
Right.
and continue developing their platform.
Exactly. But the board's role goes beyond just, fundraising.
Right.
They provide valuable guidance
Okay.
on strategic decisions
Mm-hmm.
and help the company navigate
Okay.
this really complex landscape of the healthcare industry.
So it's like having a team of experienced mentors
Yeah.
to guide you
Mhm.
through the challenges of
Yeah.
building and growing a business.
And Stengel emphasizes that this type of guidance can be so valuable,
yeah.
especially for startups.
Yeah. That are operating in industries that are really heavily regulated or require specialized expertise.
Now, Stengel points out
Yeah.
that sometimes the best way to manage a partnership,
Yep.
especially with large companies,
Mm-hmm.
is to be patient
Yeah.
and to bring your partner along in these small steps.
He does. And
Yeah.
he uses Experial as an example.
Right, the company that's enhancing the fan experience at sporting events.
Yes, exactly.
And they've been really successful at partnering with those professional sports teams
They have.
to get their technology into the hands of fans.
It's pretty cool what they're doing.
It is.
But it wasn't always easy.
Right, because those teams are these big established organizations
Yeah.
that can be very resistant to change.
They are.
So how did Experial convince them to embrace this new technology?
Well, they were really patient.
Okay.
They, they realized they couldn't force these teams
Right.
to adopt their technology overnight.
They had to bring them along gradually.
Exactly. Instead of pushing for a huge change all at once,
Mm-hmm.
they focused on running these smaller, more targeted pilot programs.
So starting small and proving the value of their technology incrementally.
They focused on showing how it could enhance the fan experience,
Right.
increase engagement,
Mhm.
and generate new revenue.
And they were also flexible,
Yeah.
willing to adapt their technology based on feedback.
They were. They understood that to have a successful partnership,
Right.
you have to be willing to listen, learn, and adapt.
So it's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between your own ambitions
Mm-hmm.
and the realities of working with a large company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the best way to achieve a big goal
Yeah.
is to break it down into these smaller, more manageable steps.
Right.
You build momentum and confidence along the way.
Stengel also talks about this concept of failure
He does.
as a necessary part of the innovation process.
He does. He talks about productive failure,
Okay.
meaning you can learn from your mistakes.
Right. But most companies are terrified of failure.
They are.
Right. They see it as something to be avoided at all costs.
But Stengel argues that this fear of failure
Yeah.
can actually stifle innovation.
Okay.
He thinks companies need to create a culture
Right.
where it's okay to experiment, to take risks, and to learn from those mistakes.
So shift the mindset from failure is bad to failure is data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he gives examples of how companies have turned their failures into valuable lessons.
Okay. Like what?
Well, one that stands out is the partnership between GE and Corky,
Right.
which ultimately ended in Corky's bankruptcy.
That was a big one.
It was a very public failure.
Yeah.
But GE was able to learn from it.
Okay.
They realized how important careful planning was,
Right.
aligning goals,
Mhm.
and understanding each other's culture and working style.
So they didn't just dwell on the failure.
Yeah.
They really analyzed what went wrong
They did.
and applied those lessons to their future partnerships.
Exactly.
It's a great example of turning failure into a learning opportunity.
It is. And Stengel really emphasizes that being able to acknowledge and learn from your mistakes is a key part of being a successful innovator.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Jim Stengel's Unleashing the Innovators,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways that we should remember?
Well, I think one of the biggest is that innovation isn't just about technology.
Okay.
It's about people.
Right.
It's about building a culture that embraces change, encourages experimentation, and really empowers employees at every level.
So it's about being open to new ideas.
Yes.
No matter where they come from.
It doesn't matter if it's from a startup, a customer, or even an employee within the company.
And being willing to,
Yeah.
fail and learn from your mistakes and then iterate quickly.
And another key takeaway is that partnerships can be so powerful.
Right.
They can really drive innovation.
They give companies access
Yeah.
to new technologies, new markets, and new ways of thinking.
Exactly. And they can bring that energy and entrepreneurial spirit
Right.
back into a company.
Yeah. But to make these partnerships successful,
Yeah.
it takes planning, communication, and commitment to building that trust.
Absolutely. And you have to be adaptable and flexible.
Right.
And embrace the unexpected.
So as you go about your day,
Yeah.
think about what you can do
Mm-hmm.
to foster that culture of innovation within your own organization and embrace the power of partnerships.
Whether you're a CEO, a manager,
Right?
or an individual contributor, you have the power to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
You can challenge those old ways of doing things. You can champion new ideas, and you can seek out those partnerships that can help your company thrive.
Exactly.
And remember, innovation is not a destination, it's a journey.
That's a great way to put it.
It's a constant process of experimenting, learning, and adapting.
Right.
So embrace the challenge, be open to those possibilities, and never stop innovating.
Until next time.